Hey, so the question is, how do you find a perfect work and play balance? It's a huge thing for myself because I have an inner child. I mean, we all do. That never goes away. Some people lose touch with it, and that's what certain medicines are for. But for myself, I've never lost touch with my inner child. Some people describe me as a big child. I know, I've heard this. It's good. I take it as a compliment because I know how important it is to have fun and to play and to, I don't know, for me, there's like a cheekiness. There's a cheeky element to who I am, and it's part of my joy. And so the thing is like, I also have a not spiritual, serious element to me where it's like, writing about stuff. I mean, a lot of the fun comes through my writing, right? But a lot of it's very serious, the spiritual stuff and like what certain things mean to me, why I have dreadlocks, and how much do I understand about the Rastafarian movement. I mean, there are certain things that are close to my heart, and they're very important to me, and they're not a joke. And it's like, like I said, I have this like serious side where, like, certainly studying yoga, it's a profound science. The world's oldest religion, yoga being one of the branches of Hinduism, or Sanatana Dharma. And it's amazing. I mean, it's a science of psychology and all this kind of stuff. So very serious, because I think through understanding all of that complexity, then it takes it off of your shoulders. And then, at least for myself, it then allows me to be more free and more happy because I don't have the weight of things that I don't understand weighing on me, and I'm not weighed down by the things that happen because I don't understand who I am and what this is all about, what my place is in the universe and stuff like that in relation to other things. And I then have to deal with the consequences of a person who ends up in situations that they don't know how to handle, essentially. So the thing is like, these two sides of, I can only speak about this from my own personal experience, and that is the angle that I'm approaching this with. And it's so like, how to find this perfect work-play balance, because there's this saying, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy, but right. And it's important, because I find myself in studying yoga and Hinduism, like, going through the pantheon of Hindu gods and deities and things like that, and then concepts of God and all this kind of stuff. It's like, it's profound, but you need to be able to see beyond it. You need an ability to get past certain things so that you can see the underlying truths for what it's worth, that are being shown in these teachings. I mean, and it really helps, I will say, to have like a big understanding about things like, say, human history, going way farther than what we typically ascribe to the Vedas, back to Atlantis and stuff like that. Because once you start down this path of learning about Hinduism and whatnot, and right now I'm on this thing called Manu, and it's like, you have to have a bigger understanding of what it's talking about so that you don't get caught up in it, essentially, just like life, right? And so it really helps to have that knowledge and studying, like the study of, like, say, Hermetic philosophy. If you've read the Kabbalion, it's like the master key that can help you to see where all of these teachings come from and how they derived, so it's like, you need to have these things, but like, because a lot of this stuff is so heady, because you're wrapping your mind around huge concepts, to do with like Samkhya, and like Avenida, like Vedanta, like these schools of thought where we look at like a relative and a fundamental, and it's like if you didn't know better, it can seem like these two ideas are diametrically opposed to one another, when in fact they're just two sides of the same coin, and they're essentially saying, they're describing that side, right? There's no conflict at all. But if you don't understand the law of paradox, which is talked about in the Kabbalion, I mean, it's very easy to not understand, and you might get overwhelmed by some of these ideas because they're huge. And so this is the thing, is like, because a lot of this material is so profound, it's so complex, it's actually not that complex, but it is when you're new to it. It's just like, like anything, if you're becoming an engineer, if you're a painter, learning to play the piano, at first it's just like, but then you get it, and then it all starts falling into place, and then you learn and you become okay with it all, right? And so I am learning about this stuff right now, but because it's a lot, I need to take breaks. And sometimes it's like I can only study stuff like this for an hour at a time, give or take, and then I need to step away because I can't become overwhelmed. I don't work well under pressure. I don't like trying to force myself to figure something out or whatever. I compile research and I do these things. I take notes, I add it in, I create something which is growing, and eventually it all does come together and fall in line and whatnot. But it takes time. And so during that process, which is extensive, like these research projects for me take place over the course of months. Like I just reconciled in the last few days a couple of pieces of writing that I've been working on. One of them for my book, which is basically about the difference between how there's like mainstream science, but then there's like a mainstream spiritual, but then there's like this other spiritual, and then there's this like other science, and it has to do with like a lot of like socio-political things, right? It's a lot, and I've been working on it for a while. It started off as just a little thing that I knew that there was something there that I needed to address, and it blew up into probably 10,000 words, and I reconciled it. I made it all the way through, and it came together as a unified whole like yesterday. I mean, and so I find myself involved in these kinds of projects. And another one is to do with yoga, because I'm going to attend a yoga school, the Dharma Yoga Center in New York, in June for my yoga teacher training. And I have books that I need to read, and I have essays about certain things that I need to write. And so it's been this huge journey about studying this one book, the Hatha Yoga Pradipika, and it has just turned into something that is so far above and beyond my experience of reading that book that it's not even funny, because that is just how the cookie has crumbled, and it's beautiful. And I can see that it's about so much more than what it looks like on the surface. It is just growing my understanding exponentially. It is just phenomenal, this experience that I'm having and going through it and stuff like that. But like I said, these things, they're very wrapping your mind around this stuff and letting it sink in. It's like it takes time to digest, right? And so how does a person involves themselves in these types of endeavors without going crazy. You can drive yourself mad if you don't have the right balance in life. It's super important to be able to balance these things out because of their weight. The weight of that stuff is dense. And so you need to be able to shoulder the weight. And so it needs to be balanced out by something else. And that's why, because I am building a van right now. And so I will go to where my van is and I will work on my van for a bit. And right now the thing won't even start. But I decided that it was really important for me to figure out how the whole thing works. So I got the Haynes manual, I got a test light, I got a multimeter, and I talk to people, I do research online, and I'm figuring it all out for myself. And it's, over the course of doing it, the van still won't run. It ran last year, but there's something, I've tested this and that for resistance. I replaced the starter relay, all these kinds of things, but it gets my mind working in a different way where it's like I'm just kind of like troubleshooting, and like you got the manual in front of you. It's nice because it separates me from that other work that I do. And so that when I come back to it, I feel like I've taken a complete vacation from it. I've taken a break. It's like I find with anything that is what do you call it? Anything that you're doing, like even if you really love it, like writing in my book, it's like if you force yourself to do it, it becomes a burden, right? And that's no good. I've learned to work for a while and then stop. I've heard other writers talk about this too. It's like stop when you're doing really well, or sometimes you're doing so well, you're doing something, keep going. It's like riding a wave, like surfing. Don't just jump off. You just caught the monster wave, keep going. But sometimes I say when it's more like in the research process, which I'm back in now because I just reconciled these two big pieces, but now I'm back in a research phase. And so to take time away so that I'm always hungry for it, so that it never becomes monotonous and it's not a burden. It's not something that I'm forced, that I feel obligated to do. Like it's like, and so, yeah, that's why I love getting out of the house and doing something else. I mean, certainly yoga plays a result in that. It very much teaches balance, but even that needs balance. Everything in moderation, including moderation. And it's like, for myself, for my body, how it works, I do not do hardcore yoga every day. I used to, and it wasn't good for me. I was doing so much calisthenics and yoga, it was taking its toll on my body, and it's just like, where am I even going with this? And then I realized how important it is to stop doing certain exercises. Like I stopped doing pistol squats because it's just not good for my knees. Screw that. It's not worth it. And to make sure that when I do pull-ups, to keep my wrists straight, your alignments are huge, especially when you're doing yoga or doing anything. When you're running, I learned this running down the beach in Mexico, that it's like when you're on a marathon, when you're going for a long time and you're not going to be stopping, your alignments have to be perfect. So if you're doing a repeated movement for a long period of time, you have to be in charge of where you're at, because if you're not, when you're way out of line, you will notice and you will course correct. But if you are just a little bit off, you don't notice until it's too late, until your body starts giving you feedback in the form of pain and discomfort, and it starts having an effect because then you compensate in some other way. And so hugely important to find that balance in absolutely everything that we do. And so one of the things that I have done in recognizing this, but not always knowing how to properly implement this work balance for myself in my life. I mean, it's easy to say, you know, it's another thing to do. And so, pardon me, one of the things that I did is that I made this list on my computer, and it was called, or it still is, it's called The Situation. And on that list, there's a heading which is underlined, and then underneath. So one of them is the van situation, where it's like, it's important to me. And it's like, I need to always be working on it. I need to be moving forward on it constantly, consistently, because it's important to me. It's an aspect of something that I'm doing. It is an element of my life. And it's like, if I deny that, if I neglect it, it's like I am neglecting myself. I'm neglecting something that's very important to me. And I've done that in the past in life, you know, like because I spent all this time writing a book, I put my music career on hold and said, well, no, it's more important for me to write this book. I have to go about it in this way. Wrong. You cannot deny, if it's super important to you, end of story. You do not deny the existence and the requirement of giving attention to things that are huge to you, that are a part of your like energetic makeup, that mean everything to you. You cannot deny the necessity of giving those things the attention that they deserve, because it's really, you're giving yourself attention, you know, the attention that you deserve, because it's like a form of self-love to be organized to the point where you are honoring all of the elements of who you are, right? And so this is why I made this list called The Situation. And so it's like the van situation. It's like, okay, this is what I need to do to the van. These are what I'm going to work on first. Then there's the yoga situation, because I have certain readings I have to do. I have certain there's things I have to watch. There's things I have to practice. And then other things that I just take on as my own, like I'm making my own yoga journal and like really developing certain sequences that I've been working on and learning Sanskrit and just on and on and on. I mean, you know, and it's my passion. It's important to me. It's above and beyond what's being asked of me by this yoga school, but that's, you gotta do what's in your heart, you know, what you feel inspired to do, what your vision of being the absolute best yoga teacher that you possibly can be looks like, right? There is no other example other than, you know, whatever I feel in my heart, right? And so things like that. I mean, certainly where I'm the trend, what I'm learning about diet and where I'm moving towards, and certainly like the shifting of the seasons. I tell you, my diet changes on a weekly basis. And that's good for me, right? And so always keeping these things in mind, you know, something that I have, that I say is that like procrastination comes from not having a crystal clear picture about what you don't want to continue, what you want to happen, and what you need to do to get there. If you don't have all three of those things in mind simultaneously, you will fall off, and you will, you'll miss out, because you're missing out on you. You're missing out on how to be the fullest expression of who you are as a person, as a beautiful expression of consciousness, as a spirit incarnate, whatever you want to call it, however you want to make it out. And so those are some of the elements, you know, like, and so that being said, so it's like, yeah, yoga is an element, also music, right? I mean, like I cut that out for a long time. It's like, this isn't healthy, right? And so I started to embrace it. And when I say I find a balance between these things, it doesn't mean that everything is in equal proportion. It's a tailored balance where it's like I spend most of my time right now is divided between this writing about this book that I'm studying for yoga, and then the other one is my book. And because, and then the progress that I'm making on those things is so inspiring. I mean, for myself, it just means the world to me. And so, yeah, it has just made all of the difference in my life to have this external organization of the things that are super important to me in my life to help, and then everything combined balances out my life. And that includes things like going for a walk once in a while, right? Or reading some book that I haven't, just some, reading something, researching just random stuff, right? Instead of always like research projects, getting myself, like I recently bought some things that I need for my life, and it felt awesome purchasing all those items. I work hard. I install hardwood floors, right? I mean, I work, and it's like, yeah, I'm in debt, but it's like, money comes and goes. I don't even think about it. I've never looked back on a purchase that I've made. Very seldomly. Because I put serious research into all of the things that I purchase. And so the things, and they say that possessions don't make you happy, they make me happy. When I put a ton of effort and make sure that I get something that I really need, that really adds to what I'm doing, that facilitates the ease of some sort of a task, or it's like, oh wow, that's going to be just game changing, and then I get it and I'm so proud of myself, and then I get to enjoy this thing for the rest of my life, like a good Japanese knife or something like that, and steels and or like whatever it is, like sometimes it's computer or camera gear or music stuff or whatever, right? But never just impulse buy, but always buy things. And yeah, so really good to just take care of all that stuff, and then to have those things. And because, for myself, I'm a multifaceted being. I am complex. I have all of these things that mean so much to me, and it's important that I honor them all. One of them is like staff, contact staff is something that I have, and I've always neglected. And so then I got this thing that you need to link all the lights together, because I have a lit up one, and then I got a book on it so that I just slowly learn it and just start practicing. And then when I go to a festival, then I can have a little bit of fun, and like, and it shows, be like, hey, yeah, you've been practicing. That's awesome. Awesome. Right. So yeah, just cannot, I tell you something, I suppose like where this video came from is because I actually tried the opposite. I was just like, holy cow, I have so much stuff that I need to do, because really, I think because I wasn't looking at the year calendar where it's like, oh, well, actually I have quite a few months to read all these books and to get this stuff done. So because I was out of touch with my calendar, I was under the impression that I needed to hustle. So I was like, holy cow, how do I do this? How do I like really knuckle down and get blah, 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 all the things done? And so I was like, okay, I'm just going to exit from everything. I'm just going to hyper focus on only yoga stuff, and yeah, like, really mostly hyper focus on that stuff to get it out of the way. But it's the thing is that like some things, just like this YouTube channel, they're an organic process and you can't hurry them, like it's like trying to pick a piece of fruit before it's ripe. Don't do it. And if you eat it, it will be missing some of its nutritional profile because it wasn't ready. Some things you just can't hurry, right? And it's not wise to do so, even though you can try to, and you might be able to have some kind of a result as a result of all of the hard work. I mean, of course you're going to end up with some kind of a result, but it's like, did you enjoy yourself along the way? You know, it's something that Alan Watts talks about, is how there's a video that you can find on YouTube where it's like, you know, life, you know, you think that it's all about getting from A to B and you're trying to accomplish this and you get this and you get that. And at the end of the day, it's like life is a musical thing. You're supposed to have fun. You're supposed to sing and dance. You're supposed to stop and smell the roses, not like rush through it all and miss everything along the way that made it enjoyable, right? And so like, what was it? Yeah, you know, like I figured I would try just like hyper focusing, and you know what? I lasted for maybe a couple weeks of, you know, really keeping myself in my room and not going out, not doing this, not doing that, not going and seeing people, not getting on the phone, not getting caught up in conversations with people, no TV, no movies, I mean, I don't watch TV really anyways, except for the Velocity Network, because there's like shows about fixing cars, and so that means something to me because I like to understand the process that people go through in fixing vehicles and in upgrading them and designing them and stuff like that. It's super cool. It's up my alley. It's the only channel that I watch, and I can only take in little bits because I have very small tolerance for commercials. I don't like that. I find it to be really not my thing, commercials. But I stopped with everything. It's just like, okay, no, stay away from YouTube. Anything that could influence you in any way, stay super pure, super high frequency. And I lost my mind, right? I was just like not having fun anymore. I was, you know, it's not like I wasn't upset. I guess I was a little upset because it was like, there's something I'm missing here. This can't be it. And yeah, I mean, like I said, it lasted for a short period of time where I just hyper focused, and I was thoroughly unhappy. And then as soon as I don't know how figured it out, right? But decided, you know, maybe something happened. I think something happened naturally where I went to something. I was like, wow, that was fun. What the hell am I doing? You know, I cut all the fun out of my life. I stopped laughing. You know, that's a big part of who I am. If you know me in person, I like to joke around. I like having fun. You know, it's not all about the serious stuff. I mean, that's an element of who I am, but it's not everything. I need that balance. And it's just like, this is ridiculous. And then that's when I started taking a good look at everything that I was doing. It's just like eating a raw food diet. It's like, or being a fruitarian. I'm still a fruitarian, but it's, you know, just because pretty much everything, most of, say like 90% of what I eat is classified as a fruit, like beans and vegetables. Although I've started eating certain vegetables and I like it, you know, I like, and also not just only eating raw food. It's like, I like rice. You know, there's a lot of people, the people that I follow on, say, YouTube or whatever, which is very few, I could fit them on one hand, less than a hand, right? And they're people who are interested in living very healthy lives, living long lives, aging gracefully, whatnot. These people need to have full heads of hair, and they can't have visual signs of where they can't look tired, exhausted, or anything like that. Or I don't listen to what they have to say anyways. And so, what was the point? Lost my train of thought. I don't know. Yeah, just like, you know, and these people eat things, cooked food, you know, because you can go down that path where it's like, oh, 100% raw, And it's like, and then what? What do you think is going to happen when you just completely cut out everything that's enjoyable? You know, like I don't drink for what it's worth. I buy like, but I will have one once in a while. I will buy a 6-pack of organic or like say gluten-free like beer or whatever, and it could last me months. Easy, because I'll only have one when it is absolutely appropriate, never out of anxiety or depression or any. It's like no, you work through that stuff like a man. You man up and you handle your business. You'll know when it's time to let loose a little bit, right? And so yeah, I mean that's the thing, is like serious, yeah, but enjoy yourself. I mean, if that's something that you enjoy. If you don't, right? Don't do stuff that you really don't enjoy. But yeah, and that's the thing with cooked food too, right? I mean, like you can, it's like, yeah, there's a lot of benefit to eating raw food, to have a lot of raw foods in your diet, to eating a plant-based diet, to understanding nutritional profiles of certain things, and to you know, for myself, I was like doing all this yoga and calisthenics and stuff like that. Then I was eating more protein, and it didn't, I mean, like it would help me to get through these times, but you know what I did instead? I just stopped working myself so hard. I stopped pushing myself so hard, and I haven't lost a thing. And I don't need to buy all these protein supplements. I don't need to go to the gym. I don't need to wear myself out. I found balance, and it's so much better than, you know, okay, well, I gotta do this. It's like, oh, you just gotta get in there. You gotta get on the mat. You gotta do more yoga. You gotta stretch till the cows come home. So that what? If you're gonna be doing this for the rest of your life, you're gonna get better. You know, I get like unbelievably better every year in my practice. So why force it? You know, does it require effort? Yeah. Does it require persistence? Absolutely. Does it require determination? 100%. But it does not require putting undue pressure on yourself to perform, to you know, to like, what are you trying to achieve? You know, what's important is now, and everything that is now. Forget about later. This is what's important. Find balance now. Find happiness now. Happiness isn't something that you work towards. It's something that you are. It's something that you choose. It's not something that, you know, you're going to be sometime down the road. It is a choice to embrace life and who you are for everything that it's worth right now. And that's what I choose. And I honestly, ever since doing that, I've become such a happier person. I find that I'm less irritable. I'm easier to be around. I don't find myself prone to fits of, say, anger or excitement, excitability, or depression, which these sort of elevated states. I found a more balanced, a more holistic, harmonious state, and I prefer it vastly over the old me who used to do things differently because he felt like he was obligated for some reason to do something. And it's like, oh, you have to write this book so that you can be of service. Shut up. Just stop all of that nonsense. Yeah. And it feels good. You know, that's how I'm doing it these days. Yeah, and it feels good.